Welcome to Brett Davis Unleashed, coming to you from IQ Podcast in beautiful Coronado, California. I'd like to thank Attorney King for his sponsorship, his friendship, and go King. Our guest today is somebody that I've known for a while and somebody that I've admired, and after you hear his story, I think you'll probably admire him even more. Leo Hamel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to finally get you in the studio.
Thank you.
So, you started, where are you originally from?
San Diego.
You have Canadian roots though?
My father's French Canadian, my mom's part Mexican.
Okay. So your father was inspirational to you because I've seen his photos. He looked like he was a very capable man. Could you talk about a little bit about your dad?
He was a frogman, underwater demolition team frogman at Coronado, predecessor to the Navy SEALs. He was one of the last classes that was all frogmen. I believe that he was involved in training them as well. He was also involved in the recovery of several astronauts from the Mercury program.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting life.
Yeah, he did a lot of things.
And he also did bodybuilding.
He was a weightlifter.
He looked amazing.
He lifted weights until pretty much close to when he died.
Well, so he had a great impact on you. Apparently hard work and hard work ethic was probably a big part of his life, I would think.
Yes, he taught us very early, if you do something, do it right the first time. And I sort of kept that as my motto, and I'm teaching that to my kids.
That's a great thing, especially nowadays.
Especially nowadays.
Exactly. So, tell us, where did you go to high school? What was high school like?
I went to St. Augustine High School. Our family was Catholic. I went to 13 years of Catholic school, and I'm kind of glad of that. I did learn to read, write, and do arithmetic. I'm not sure what kids are learning these days, because I see mistakes in grammar all the time. And one of my hiring questions is, what's 37% of 100? And you would be shocked at how many people cannot answer that question.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're even handwriting anymore.
But they don't.
Which I think is wrong.
I think it's wrong too, because how can you read the Constitution?
Well, they don't want you to read that anymore.
Apparently.
We better behave ourselves. So you go to high school, and then did you ever go to college?
No, I went for a couple of years. I did a vocational school, and then I joined the National Guard after that.
Oh, really?
And I wasn't really that interested in going off to a four-year college.
I didn't know about the National Guard. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, it was small, but it was something.
No, well, we appreciate that.
Okay.
So then you end up. How did you get into jewelry?
I was a dance teacher, believe it or not, in 2000.
What?
In 79 or 78 when John Travolta's movie came out.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, my friend and I went to see it, and we walked out and said, we got to learn to dance. And then we looked at each other kind of weird. But we went and found a studio, and we took ballroom dancing and disco dancing, and it was kind of fun. And I ended up working for that studio for a year. And at the end of that, I didn't have anything to do. After I had done that, I had no job, and my girlfriend got me a job at a jewelry store. And the guy hired me because he said I was cocky. I told him, I said, I would be your best salesperson you've ever hired. And he said, oh, well, no, thank you. But then he called me a few days later and hired me. And I turned out, within a couple of months, I was the best salesperson he ever had.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. And then he fired me. That's the funny part, is he fired me because I sold too much.
What?
Because I demoralized the other salespeople. They couldn't have contests because I would win them 2 or 3 months into a 6-month contest. So he fired me. But he did pay me for a month and said, go figure out what else you're going to do. And I ended up getting into buying and selling used Rolexes. So it was a bad thing to lose that job, but it was a good thing because it started my next part of my career.
Maybe he was afraid you were going to take his business from him.
Well, I doubt that.
Well, I mean, you're number one city. You come in there and you're full of this cockiness, but I think it's more confidence myself. And you're doing all these wonderful sales records. I would think he would have wanted to bring you aboard or keep you around longer.
It was odd that he fired me. That was the second time he fired me. The first time was because I wrote thank you notes to my customers.
Which you still do.
Which I still do.
And we'll talk a little more about that because that's a lost art.
It is.
Okay, so you start selling Rolexes, and did you find a location, or how are you doing this?
I did it out of a briefcase for about a year and a half, just buying and selling out of the newspaper because that was the main place you bought and sold things. And after a year and a half, I got kicked out of my apartment because I said too many people were coming in. I think they thought I was selling something else. So I got a little office, a 300 square foot office on El Cajon Boulevard, and that's when we started the first location.
So how long were you there?
In that place for about a year and a half, and I stayed on El Cajon Boulevard, moving more and more west I had 3 different locations on El Cajon, and then finally ended up in the building that we're in now on San Diego Avenue.
So I mean, and you put in some long hours.
In the first 15 years, if by the 5th day of the week I didn't make my target, and I set a target every week, then I would work the 6th day, and if I still didn't make it, then I'd work the 7th day. And if I finally hit my target on the 7th day, I'd take the afternoon of Sunday off. But some weeks I worked 7 days a week for many of the first few years, but certainly 5 and 6 long hours for the first 10 years.
So how do you, other than the hard work that you put in, how do you explain the success that you were able to put together?
I've studied early on different business philosophies, never went to school for business, but I read a book called, what was it? It was written by a guy named Les Dane, who I ended up meeting later. It's one of the earlier sales books. And in this book, he said things like, he taught car dealers how to sell used cars. And that's where I learned about writing letters to customers and gathering names and addresses and building what he called a central file. I used to have a Rolodex, a small one, and I filled it up, and then I got a bigger Rolodex. I had one that was about 1.5 feet high, then I had 2 of them. Every person that I met, I got their name and phone number and address if I could. And a good story on that is I had brunch at a restaurant on the top of Horton Plaza one time, and the girl that served me, I sent her a thank you note for serving me well. And then I sent her a Christmas card for a couple of years. And I'm not kidding, 20 years later, she came into the store and said, I never forgot those Christmas. I hadn't had any contact with her since that one time. 20 years later, she came in and bought an engagement ring. Then 20 years after that, which was only a couple of years ago, she brought her daughter in to buy an engagement ring, simply because I sent her a thank you note and a couple of Christmas cards. So I learned basically out of a couple of sales books, and I just took everything to heart. And the main thing that I learned is you stay in contact with people.
Which is really hard to do for a lot of people.
It is. I've taught so many people that basic concept, and they've started a business, and I just keep waiting for that first flyer, waiting for that first card, and it just doesn't happen. People just don't follow through with the basics anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some of the greats in all areas of life, and the one thing I always hear is that master the basics.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
It really is. Because probably built my company on 5 or 6 concepts, just 5 or 6 basic little concepts. Nothing was very complicated.
Could you go over the 5?
Pardon?
Could you go over some of the 5?
I can. One of them was gathering names and addresses of virtually everybody you meet. Another is send them a Christmas card. If you know their birthday, send them a birthday card. If someone expresses an interest in something, you kindly and gently follow up, and you follow up until they either buy or tell you to take them off your mailing list. You have to have a mailing list and send something out every month. But we started off sending just a Xerox list with like 3 items on them, and then it had 10 items and it had 12, and then we typed it. We actually handwrote the first one and Xeroxed it. Then it was a page or 2, and then it became more and more to now our flyer is 8 to 12, 15 pages, and it's full color. It's really nice, but that goes out every month, and it's never not gone out even, maybe due to the COVID, we might have missed 1 month, but it's gone out for 40 years now.
I actually saw that this morning in my mom's room.
Okay.
When I went to say goodbye to her, it was on her dresser, so she's getting one too, apparently.
Good. A lot of people get them. I put a lot of people on my mailing list.
That's phenomenal. What are you doing with social media and all as far as the internet?
We do market a little bit on AdWords, and I'm working on figuring out how to do that better. The internet is not as easy as anybody likes to say it is. And
it's not. And
I found that many companies that will sell you internet services are in the business of making money, not necessarily making you money. It's sad to say, but it's an area that a lot of money leaks out of companies. So I'm working on learning it myself now instead of hiring other people, because I haven't been able to trust them extensively. So we do social media. I have a couple people in the store that do that, and we do AdWords and we do YouTube, but it's just not perfect yet, and I want to get it perfect, because up until the internet, I got down, I knew how to do radio, I knew how to do newspaper, I knew how to do magazines, I knew how to do TV, I know how to do all of that, but the internet is still kind of mysterious, and it changes all the time.
It's all the time, it's changing, even faster.
Yeah, it changes faster and faster.
So, how many facilities do you have now? How many stores?
We have one main jewelry store on San Diego Avenue that does everything that a jewelry store can do. We buy, we sell, we trade, we sell brand new jewelry, we sell antique jewelry, we sell new watches, used watches, we repair watches, and we have a gemological laboratory. So we do everything that a jewelry store can do in that location. And then I have 5 offices around the county that just buy jewelry. because estate and secondhand jewelry is a big part of our business.
How are you able to do all this? I mean, the time that's involved to keep
It's called delegation.
and that's a trust thing too.
It is, and I have very good partners and very good staff.
And a lot of them have been with you for a long time.
Yes, I couldn't tell you the exact number, but I would say 60% of our staff have been there for 5 years or more, and some of them as many as 25.
That says a lot about you, Leo.
Thank you.
One thing I can tell you about your store that I like is customer service is probably the best I've ever encountered. I got my Hamilton there. First time I was going to get my Hamilton, I already knew where I was going to go. I went there. Your sister greeted me. It was very nice. And, walked me through everything. And we talked about, I said I wanted to use the Hamilton as a stepping stone for the next, Submariner. And she got me set up, took care of me. I mean, people come in, you have drinks, you have sodas, you have mineral water, you have fruit, you have
Beer and wine.
Beer and wine. I don't think I know too many people that have jewelry stores that do that.
Well,
We're behind the curve because we only have sugar and bad candy and stuff. But we need to get some beer and wine in here next. I think follow Leo's step, and we need to start writing letters of thanks and things like that because she's already doing it. Good. See, there you go. See, but you've always done that, right? Yeah, there you go.
it's a lost art for sure, especially with the internet.
It is. So, how during current times are you holding up?
Well, business dropped almost to zero that first week that the governor said stay home. But it's been climbing back, and I think last week we got real close to last year this week.
Oh, good.
Because we compare this week to last week every week. So that's always moving forward, and we compare this week to the same week last year. So we just got back in the jewelry store real close, if not past last year this week. So we're on the way up. But it was tough for a while.
What would you tell any of the businesses that are out there? Because I mean, some of the things we covered today, the basics, I think are vital for any business. People have to really adapt to what's going on, and a lot of people don't know what to do. What would you advise them?
You have to keep marketing. I mean, we did stop most of our marketing the first month of the lockdown or whatever you call it, simply because there was no one coming in the door. And there's no point in advertising when there's virtually no one on the streets. But on the second month, we started going back to doing our standard marketing things, which is letters, phone calls, putting together the flyer. We're back on TV now for parts of the business. But you have to market. You can't not market, even during a recession. You have to market. But that was the most unique thing ever when business just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, through the last recession, we never stopped marketing. In fact, we increased it.
Like yourself, I don't think either one of us has ever experienced anything currently what's going on in the world.
No, there's never been anything like that.
It's a different animal.
Yep, and one has to wonder why.
Exactly. But we just have to keep plugging along.
Yep,
right?
Keep going.
So then now you have this facility that I used myself and haven't been back since, all the craziness that's gone on. But it helped me get ready for my Mr. Universe competition. Leo's gym?
Yeah, Leo's Fitness Lab, or Leo Fit. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a high-tech gym that we have in our jewelry building. It's open to the public. It's private training. We use computerized machines that track every second of every repetition. The machine knows how strong you are and gives you slightly more resistance than you can handle. And it does that in both directions. So unlike normal weight machines where you do a bicep curl, you're fighting the weight on the way up, you're lifting it, but on the way down, gravity brings it down and your muscle rests. On these machines, you lift the weight up and it's giving you as much weight as you can handle. And then on the way down, it adds 30 to 40% of the weight on every rep. So there's no resting. When you do 5 reps, and sometimes as little as 4, you feel like you just did 40 reps of the heaviest weight you've ever lifted. You can't get a bigger pump or more building of muscle in just 90 seconds. You can on that machine.
So typically, how long does the whole workout take?
About 20 minutes.
Isn't that amazing?
A full body workout in 20 minutes, and you feel like you just worked out with the trainer for 3 hours.
And how many days do you think is adequate to do a week?
Some people can do 1 week and it's fine, but twice a week is about right. We don't have anybody doing 3 times a week. That's just too much. 3 20-minute sessions in a week and you won't recover. You need about 3 to 4 days to recover from the workout.
So the one thing I remember about the machines, other than I've never seen anything like it in my life, but it did help me get ready for the competition. It's faster, is that every time you go in, the machine remembers where you were last time and it challenges you more each time.
That's true. It's got a computer screen, a very large computer screen that shows you on a graph up and down, positive and negative, what you did last time. So after your first workout, you're competing against yourself visually. You can see what you're doing, but you also have a trainer there pushing you for that little psyche motivation. So you have yourself motivating yourself, the screen watching you, and then the trainer training you. So like I said, when you finish that 20-minute workout, it's like doing 5 sets of everything that might take 3 hours to do, but you can do it in 20 minutes.
You know, the other thing I liked about the machines is that low impact, very low risk of getting injury.
That's true. We've never had anybody get injured on the machines. One lady did say she thought she pulled something. We found out that she had already pulled that muscle before, and she admitted she was just complaining. I said that you're not going to ever get hurt on this, but if you sit in the machine and you isolate the muscle you're supposed to isolate, you basically can't get hurt, because the moment you stop pushing or pulling, the machine stops pushing and pulling. And by the thousandth of a second, you can't cheat the machine. If you stop pushing or pulling, it stops instantly. So it's almost impossible to get hurt.
So how did you get into this business? Because this is completely different than jewelry.
Well, my dad always taught me to exercise, and I weightlifted most of my life, although I don't look like a weightlifter because I just don't have the gene to get really big.
You're pretty broad-shouldered, man.
Well, but I stay fit as I can. And I found out about this technology, and I wanted to buy the machines, but they were too expensive. They were just expensive. So
what's a machine go for? About how much?
They sell for about, well, they lease for $2,500 a month per pair, which is a lot per year. You have to sign a 3-year lease. So it's quite a bit of money. But I figured if this is as beneficial as they say, and I find that it is, it would be worth it to buy the machines and start a business around them, which we did. So we have those machines. We have another set of machines that give you an intense aerobic workout in 20 minutes. You only have to do that once or twice a week. And there's science behind that. There's even a company that sells a bike that you do 20-second bursts twice, once a week.
Wow.
And they've done science on it that shows that aerobically, you need very little exercise aerobically if it's as intense as your body can do. So we have that machine for aerobic workouts. We have the other machine for weight workouts, and then we also have a body composition machine. I'm not sure if you saw that.
I've used it.
You have? Okay. So
I've used everything in there except the Botox.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. So we have a machine that's called a CosMed Bod Pod. It's a machine you get inside of, and it measures your body composition.
Looks like a big egg.
Like a big egg. And you fit right inside of it. And it's the gold standard for measuring body composition. The gold standard used to be where you got into a swimming pool and they weighed you, but that's messy and you have to go somewhere and time consuming. So we got a dry machine that you can step into and you get your body composition in 20 minutes. And we have a fourth technology which measures your breath while you're resting or while you're exercising. And most people don't know this, but when you're losing weight, virtually all of that weight comes out of your mouth.
What?
Yeah, most people don't know.
Most of the weight goes through the mouth to the stomach.
It comes out of your mouth.
So it's reversed the other way.
Yes, when your body burns fat, when you're losing fat, or if you're burning muscle, it comes out of your mouth as carbon dioxide or whatever the gas is. I can't remember. The gas comes out of your mouth. So this machine measures your exhaust, which is your breath, and it can tell you how much you're burning of body fat versus carbohydrates that you ate that day.
How fat? Now, I don't think you had that machine when I was there, did you?
We did. It's maybe 5 months.
I feel like it's been 5 months since I've been there. It's been that long.
Well, we may not have told you about it, but we're still experimenting with it and getting good with it. This type of a test in the old days took a whole machine full of rooms. You only got it at laboratories. The machines cost about $100,000, and you might have to pay $1,500 to have an exhaust gas test. There's really, I don't even know what the scientific name for it is, but we can do the test now in 20 minutes, and we can do it while you're resting, laying down, and it'll tell you exactly how many calories you should burn over the next 24 hours every day, or you can wear it while you're exercising, and it'll tell you how many calories you actually burn on that exercise, whereas most machines, when they say you just burned 1,000 calories, it's rarely accurate, rarely.
You know how many calories you have to burn to lose 1 pound, right?
Yeah, 3,600, something like that.
Yeah, can you imagine?
It's a lot of calories.
It's a lot of calories.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
This is fascinating.
We combined the technology of body composition, how much weight you're actually losing, what your body's burning, body fat versus carbohydrates, along with these two high-tech exercise machines, and it's pretty complete, and you don't have to spend a lot of time in the gym. So I built that so that I could use it, but it's become a business now, and there's people in there every day. And we're getting to the point where it's getting backed up now.
Oh, really?
Because gyms, people don't want to go to gyms. They don't want to have to book a time,
Right.
and they don't want to worry about germs and so forth. So the gym is actually doing better now than it did before COVID.
So what's your take on this whole, I mean, just your thoughts, I mean, on the body? Don't you think the body needs to be able to adapt and build immunity to things?
Well, now this is a little bit of
This is between you and I.
This might go a little bit onto the conspiracy theory side of things, but it's not a conspiracy because it's absolutely true. The primary defense of a human being for any pathogen is their own immune system. For any virus, for any bacteria, for anything, for unhealth, the primary defense your body has is its own immune system. And I don't read the newspaper and I don't watch news and I don't feel like I'm behind because I'm always current because I just listen to people. But I started subscribing to 2 newspapers and 2 financial magazines at the beginning of the COVID. I have not seen one article in any one of them. I have not heard Dr. Fauci or the World Health Organization or the CDC. Not once have I heard them mention, go out and build up your immune system.
I haven't either.
No, nobody has. If you ask anybody, they'll say, well, I didn't even know there was a connection. Well, obviously there is. The people that are dying of COVID, on average, are 78 years old and have 1 to 5 comorbidities, meaning they have an underlying health condition. If they were exercising and eating right, they would have less of those underlying health conditions and they would build up their immune system. So this is a big question bordering on conspiracy. Why hasn't Dr. Fauci been talking about building up your immune system? In fact, he closed gyms, told people not to go to the beach. He told people
Stay out of sunlight.
To not exercise, pardon?
No fresh oxygen, no sunlight.
No fresh, go home with your grandparents and pass the disease around indoors. That's basically what he said. That's what he's still saying, and that's what the governor's saying. But they should have said, get out, exercise, go in mobs and exercise because fresh air and sunlight is good for you. And this disease doesn't really kill people under the age of 50. I think I do the math almost every day. I look at a state, I look at our own state, and I look at our city, and 95 or more percent of the people that die from it are over 60. 95% of the people, 95% of them have 1 to 5 underlying conditions like diabetes, overweight, cancer, numerous things that they were sick before. Healthy people rarely die of this. But we could have prevented a lot of that by telling people to go out and exercise. Anything, just get out in the sun and do exercise. Wasn't mentioned once. You can ask everybody you know, and you will not find Dr. Fauci saying, build up your immune system.
And we haven't heard anything about how nutrition is like paramount.
Well, nutrition's not part of the culture of America.
But it should be.
Junk food is, but nutrition isn't.
But I mean, you and I know that sugar probably kills more people than anything else. It probably kills more people than COVID.
COVID's not killing people.
I know.
Let me back off of that. COVID kills slightly more people than the common cold. In fact, this week, as an interesting number, in 2018, I believe the number was 363 people died of the common cold in San Diego. Just this week, we finally passed that with COVID. So it's slightly deadlier than the common cold. But if you build up your immune system, and if you're over 60, you stay away from other people. Like if Fauci had said, if you're over 60, you have underlying conditions, stay home. Have someone deliver your food to your porch. We could have eliminated probably half of these deaths. There would have been some. But instead, he said, congregate at home, outdoors, pass it around in your house. Don't go out and exercise. But nutrition is huge. And nobody talks about nutrition, not really. I mean, there's a subculture that does, but it's not part of the common American dialogue, as you can witness having lunch with a person or walking around a restaurant, seeing the French fries and gravy and ice cream and white bread, etc.
I cheated last night. I feel really guilty now. I've been cheating a little bit for the last 4 weeks. Well, since COVID, but it's time to get back to it. And I have been going to the gym. I have been working out for this week, but I need to come back to your gym.
Good.
And so, what's a good website for that?
It's called Leo. I have to remember, leofitlabs.com.
Okay.
In San Diego, if you type in Leofit Lab, it'll come up first.
And what about the jewelry stores?
Jewelry stores is leohamel.com.
Is there any final note or anything you'd like to say to the public out there? Anybody that's considering buying a watch or
Obviously,
Joining Jim.
obviously, considering buying a watch or a piece of jewelry, they should come to our store.
Exactly.
We have really good prices, really good service. I think we probably are the biggest jewelry store in San Diego in size and inventory, and most likely we are the biggest independent jeweler as far as volume. We also have a boutique next door where you can buy and sell high-end handbags if they're in brand new condition, Louis Vuitton and all the high-end brands. And then we have the gym.
I was pointing to the girls. I actually taken Sarah to. Have you been to Leo's before, Crystal? Oh, you're getting for a treat. You got to go see Leo's stores. It's amazing.
And they're all in the same building. So the jewelry store, the gym, the boutique, and we also buy jewelry. There we have an office where you can sell jewelry and coins. It's all in the same building on San Diego Avenue.
So you have now. I see a bicycle place. Is that yours too?
No, but he's doing very well by being in our building.
He's getting the runoff business.
Yeah, well, we trade customers. It's a good trade-off because he sells high-end electric bikes. It's called Electric Bike Central.
Yeah, there's a huge demand for that.
Yep.
So I look forward to coming back, and there's new stipulations on what I can do, or I mean, when we go there, or what's the deal? Can I do I have to wear a mask?
Well, if a customer wants to wear a mask, the customer decides if they want to wear a mask. My employees wear a mask unless the customer asks them to take it off. But they're wearing masks most of the time when I walk in there. Other than that, we're just going to work you out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I appreciate you being here.
Okay.
I look forward to more interviews, and I love your business. I felt like I was back in business school today, getting the real tidbits on business.
Well, thank you.
Leo Hamel is one of the greats. It's an honor having him here. Thank you for being here, Leo.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd like to thank my sponsors, because now we can turn our power on and we can pay our bills.
Okay.
Attorney King, Amanpour, thank you so much for your sponsorship and friendship. Also, Cosmopolitan Restaurant and Hotel. And of course, Indian Motorcycle of San Diego. We appreciate everything you do. Everybody take care, and God bless.